Hello and welcome. Today we are talking about my favorite deck in the format so far. It probably will stay to be my favorite deck in the format because I like decks that draw a shit ton of cards, and this deck definitely does that. We're going to be talking about three different versions of the new launch leader from set 12, which is Rejuvenation. The first version, which is the one that I've probably tested the least, and I'm not the biggest fan of, but still something I wanted to talk about. And I'm sure there's going to be a version of it that ends up getting figured out and played to a reasonably well finish. The first version is Mono Red Launch. So Mono Red has a lot of interesting tools, nothing crazy broken. I think the better stuff comes with the arrival packages that come with the other two versions of the deck that we're going to talk about in a minute, but still some cool stuff. So if you don't know what the launch leader does, is when you combo with a card, you draw a card, and then that's once per turn on both sides. And then when a card in your life is flipped face up by one of your skills, you can draw a card and then flip the leader over, and then you can't flip back to that side. So you can't like flip flop in a turn, but you can go from backside or front side to backside, and then on the next turn go backside to front side. So they both do the same thing on each side of the card, except for on the awakened side or the leader back. When she attacks, you can minus 5k to one of your opponent's cards. Really good for applying aggro to battle cards. Also really good for unison. So like if a unison has 5k, you can attack the leader and then minus 5k to the unison. So if like there are five or less like k unison, you can rip a marker off in the same attack, which is pretty cool. So the deck is playing, we're going to call it the Awaken package. There are 11 cards that I play across all three of these versions of launch. 4 copies of the Tournament Pack card, which is Feminine Wiles, 4 copies of the SR, which is Pure Hearted, and then 3 copies of Bulma Confident Friend. Both of the launch cards do effectively the same thing. The Tournament Pack, when it is comboed, says you can minus 5k to one of your opponent's battle cards or unisons. And then the other auto is, or when you combo this card, you can flip a card in your life face up. And then at the end of your turn, flip all face up cards face down. Pretty cool. And then the SR has the same auto that when you combo with it, but it has an activate main as well. That if your leader is on the front side, I think it has 5k or less, you can combo with her from the grave for free. And then at the end of the combo, you just warp her. And then Bulma Confident Friend, when you play her, you draw a card, and then has the same effect that when you combo with her, if your leader's a red earthling, you flip one of your cards face up, and then at the end of your turn, you flip them all face down. These are like the integral cards to the deck, no matter what version you're playing, because you want to flip back and forth on both sides and draw as many cards as possible. So 11 copies. Some people have been doing like 4 of the SR, 3 of Bulma, or 2 of Bulma, and then 2 of the Tournament Pack card. I think a 4-4-3 split, honestly, just for the consistency, is pretty good. If you don't have the Tournament Pack card, or you don't want to spend the money on the Tournament Pack card, and like your play group doesn't feel like doesn't want you to proxy for some reason right now, just do 4 copies of the SR, 4 copies of Bulma, and you should be okay. It's not as consistent, but you should be fine. The other cards, so the cards that are exclusive to the Mono Red version, and that's how I'll talk about like the list, or each of the lists of the ones, the exclusivity and stuff. So the Bulma Unison is okay. It's not amazing. I think in the main board it works better in the Mono Red version. Otherwise, I think it's just a sideboard tech for now, for the other 2 versions of the deck. So it's a blocker. It is a 1-drop Unison, or a 1 required Unison, so you can tap 5 for it if you want to, but it comes out turn 1. And then if your leader card's a red earthling, when a marker is removed from the card by an attack, you can flip one of your cards face up. So it triggers the draw stuff. Not amazing because you don't get the combo and draw, but you still get the flip, which is kind of cool. And you get to see what life is where, and that's the coolest thing about the leader, because you can know if your secret is the last life, and then since you know that, you just take that life. And then activate main, if your leader card is a red earthling, you can choose 1 card in your hand and put it in your life, and if you do, you add 1 card from your life to your hand. That's the Awaken package. Other exclusive stuff is the Intensifying Power Trunks. This card's really good. I mean, you get to selectively take a life, so you get to grab the cards that you know where they are, and and grab them when you want them. And 15k critical is just a really good thing right now to have. Yamcha the Lawless is another exclusive card for the red deck. Auto, if your leader card's a red earthling, at the end of your turn draw a card, and then activate battle, tap 2, give him 15k and Delve Strike. It's just a way to end the game for cheap mana, as well as just being another draw engine. The super combo for this version is exclusive because the super combo will change between all three versions. This one's playing the Reddits for the draw stuff. Honestly, you could play Nappa. It's just as good. You also could play a Sparking one because you sometimes don't go to 4 life. Like, you sometimes just stay at 7 life for the entire game. 3 copies of King Piccolo, the new ruler. This is the one from Draft Box 6 that comes down for free if you have a red unison with 3 or more markers. And it is a 15k double strike. And then if your leader is red, it gets 5k power during your... No, yeah. Gets 5k power, and your opponent can't activate blocker in response to its attack. Pretty relevant across the board right now. Also, it's just a free attacker. And then at the end of your turn, he warps himself. So it's kind of like an extra overwhelm, which is cool. Up next is 3 copies of Son Goku Eye for an Eye. This is the SR from the set, you know, the really pretty SPR that's like $2 for some fucking reason. Talk about a card that'll probably be worth more in about a year once this set's unable to be found. But tap 2, if your leader card is a red Earthling card, when he is flipped up in your life, you can place the top card of your life in your place the top card of your deck in your life, and then you play him for the 2 energy that you tapped. And then he's cool because of the auto effect. When your opponent activates a counter skill, deal 1 damage to them. So you're just kind of burning people and summoning stuff for like cheap amounts. I think this card has a lot of merit to it. I think it could be explored with in a couple different versions. Other than that, the other exclusive stuff is Yamcha Merciless Barrage. Again, something you could sideboard if you sideboard the Unison. It is live turn 1 if you uptick, if you do play Bulma turn 1 and uptick, which is cool. Topo Righteous Aid, which you can play if you don't have Violent Rays, just as your negate of choice. I think for the mono red version, both is a pretty good main board. Topo can go in the sideboard of the other 2 versions. Then up we have Secret Identity Mass Saiyan. Board removal is really good, and not having to tap energy for a 25k attacker is also really good. And then Mirror Creator Absorbed and Supreme Kai of Time are like the big top end, like big tall finishers. Mirror is still the tallest attack in the game, and then Supreme Kai of Time is a really broken card and should be played in just about every version of this deck. Alright, next up is Red Green Launch. This is the version that I've been playing the most. This is the most fun I've had playing Dragon Ball in a long time. So if you go back on the channel, I played at Pro Play Tour Philadelphia. I played a red-green Value Town Pan deck that focused on arrivals, that focused on a lot of control stuff. And this deck feels like the love child between that and Hercule, and I love it. It's great. So again, we have the 11 flip split. I'll think of a clever name of that eventually. Then 3 Violent Rays. It's not exclusive to this version of the deck. I just didn't mention it in the last one. Forgot to. 2 copies of Mercenary Tau. This one is not in the other version of the deck. It was in the mono red version as well. This card comes down for free if you have 3 or more battle cards that are non-tokens in play, and he is a critical attacker. Now, this one is... in this version of the deck, you don't attack with him as much. You actually usually just use him as fodder for Piccolo Jr. for the Alliance effect. But, I mean, if you don't have Piccolo and you have other attackers, you can attack with him. And then the bread and butter of this version of the deck is Piccolo Jr. Eradicator of Peace. This card is kind of fucked up. This card is kind of fucked up. Energy Exhaust, Double Strike, Alliance Red-Green on a 2-drop. And the effect is, so you tap, Alliances, you can tap red or green or red-green cards, and then give, the card gains power equal to the power of the cards that you tapped. And then he says if your opponent has 3 or more life, do a damage to them. So you can straight up just kill somebody if they have 3 life for this guy being, since he's a double striker. So you tap a bunch of stuff, make him really big. The auto, because Alliance is an auto, does a damage to them, and then you just push through with massive amounts of damage. But killing them at 3 life is kind of boring. We kill them at 4, and we'll get to that in a second. 4 copies of Nappa Demolition Man. It's a red-green, allows you to do your rival plays, and also because like it summons itself to the board, meaning it just makes Piccolo 10k bigger, and that's really good. 3 copies of Son Goten Changing History. This is a fixed version of the Turles promo. Overwhelm for 3, attack, active, or Overwhelm for 3, 15k, activate battle, choose 1 card in your hand, discard it, switch him to active mode, which combos really well with Beerus Godly Majesty because he's discarded by a battle card and he summons himself and you get another 15k either attacker or 15k more power for Piccolo. 2 copies of Bardock the Resolute. There are a lot of decks right now that take life through effects. Also, you're a deck that deals damage through effects, so you can drop him pretty quickly. It's also kind of fun to drop against Mecha Frieza when like they turn 1 Unite Assemble and you're like, all right, cool, here's Bardock the Resolute. We're gonna have some fun. 4 copies, and I think this number is wrong. I think it's actually supposed to be 3. But 4 copies of Trunks of Helping Blast. This is the Tournament Pack 7 card. You can play him for free. He's a revenge blocker, but you can play him for free if you have a red-green battle card in play. It's another. It's a free creature to put on the board. That way, Mercenary Tau can come down for free to help get to that 3 requirement. I don't know why I did quotations there. You need 3 cards on the field. Or it's just another like 5k attacker. It's also just green 5ks that don't suck. We talked about Beerus already. I played 2 copies of Vegeta the Cruel on my list, which is kind of a meme because it's mostly for my playgroup, but it's a green 5k that doesn't suck. And since you're routinely charging a red-green energy turn 1, he is alive as a 2-drop counterplay. He also tends to hit a couple cards in the format right now that are kind of impactful. Like him on Raider's Warcry is pretty decent. Him on Chapel, him on like Basil. Just stuff that's pretty cute. Also making your opponent discard cards, especially early in the game, is kind of fun. 2 copies of Launch Brown County's Most Wanted. This was also in the mono red deck. I just wanted to talk about it here because, you know, it carried over. It is a unique critical and then auto tap a red. If your leader card flips to the front or flips to the backside, you can play her for 1 energy. And then auto when this card is played, you choose 20 of your opponent's battle cards with 15k power or less and you kill it, which is actually pretty relevant right now. There's a decent bit of 15ks that like you can remove for 1 energy. Honestly, like summoning this to pop a Chapel is pretty solid, and the fact it's a 15k crit attacker early on is really nice. Next up are the 4 copies of Super Saiyan Gogeta Acrobatic Warrior, which I also think got trimmed to 3. I'm interested as to if I replaced anything else in the list. I think this list is at 52 cards right now. I think I just trimmed down to 50 by cutting a Trunks and a Gogeta, but I could be wrong. Permanent, you can only have 1 of them on the board, and then auto when you play a 5-drop red-green dude, you can summon him for free. And then when he is switched to rest mode by Alliance, you deal damage to your opponent. So this is the kill combo with Piccolo Jr. So like you rival out Gogeta, the 5-drop Gogeta, which we'll talk about in a second, play him for free. And then the turn you play Piccolo, you swing, do your big Alliance thing, tap Gogeta, put his auto into pending, put Piccolo's auto into pending or resolve it, deal a damage, Gogeta does a damage, then you have a base at minimum 31k or 31, assumingly at least 51k double striker that you can just like punch into with a bunch of combos, and honestly it's really fun. Next up is Champa and Beerus Capricious Gods. This is a rival card. Tap a red. If you have a red-green in your combo area, you summon it. But when you play it, you choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards at 20 and with 20k power or less, kill it. And then you can give one of your battle cards Double Strike, one of your other battle cards Double Strike for the turn, which combos really well with Son Goten Changing History because it's a dual attacker. So you can attack, activate battle, discard Beerus, combo Nappa, summon Champa Beerus, give him Double Strike in the battle, and then just keep kind of going. Really good. Next up is 4 copies of Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta Resonant Explosion. Arrival for 1 red. Pop a guy 4 or less, double striker. Can only play 1 of them a turn, but it's fine because he fulfills the condition for Acrobatic Warrior to be summoned. And yeah. And last up is the Secret Rare that we talked about already. I just got to stress how good this card is. It's a 1-drop 40k attacker that's also a board wipe and gets rid of Unisons. And the last version of Launch is Red-Blue Launch. Now, this is a severely different version than what I was originally testing for Red-Blue, because I did not think of the super cool spicy tech of the Invoker package, which, shout out to Frisco Foz of 3XG, I love you, buddy, for just coming up with like this really clever idea. And honestly, it's a lot of fun. I don't find as much fun in this version of the deck as I do the red-green version, but there's something satisfying when you're playing against somebody online and they don't know exactly what you do, and then you just kind of dump catastrophic blows with like the Android 18 on turn 5, and then just summon Rifle Seeker, go into the 6-drop, and then burn them for 3 damage. And they're like, what the fuck? Where the hell did that come from? But the cards that are exclusive to this deck are 4 Senzubin, the untap energy. Now, one thing I want to say is to be careful with Senzubin. So there is a weird interaction with this deck that if you are on the backside and you Senzubin before you like launch combo, all the launch cards say if your leader card, so like the SR says if your leader card with 5k power, if your leader card with 10k power or less, 10k power or less. So like you can, if you're on the awakened side and you attack and like Senzubin first, you can't flip over with one of their effects then until the next turn because you'll be higher than 10k. So yeah, be careful with that. 2 copies of Android 18 Steadfast Technique. Choose 1 extra card in your hand, place it in your drop area. When you combo with this card, it gets plus 6k, so it's an 11k combo. But the cool part about it is that you could sacrifice, discard Catastrophic Blows, so that way the kill combo is live. 4 copies of Beerus Divine Obliterator. Untapping energy is good. Untapping energy and drawing cards is really good. 4 Mecha Frieza Energy Blight. This is the only version of launch where I've like felt that a check land is necessary. The card's also just really good to summon and attack with because it minuses something by 5k. It minuses something by 5k. And honestly, like, just kind of need the red-blue energy. 2 copies of Combo Attack Cooler. I like this card a lot. Activate battle, choose 1 red or blue Frieza clan in your battle area, and bounce it back to your hand, and you play combo for free. This combos really well with Cooler Tyrannical Assault, so you can Arrival Cooler on your opponent's turn, attack on your turn, play combo attack, Cooler, bounce back the 5-drop Cooler. Then you have him on defense or on that turn aggressively if you want to use Cooler or like that. Because his other effect is when he attacks or is attacked, you choose 1 red-blue multicolor card in your drop area and combo it for free, which is really cool because you can fulfill the whole arrival condition without having to get rid of stuff from your hand. 4 copies of Hercule and Majin Buu, Friends Forever. Arrival for blue, when you play this card, draw a card and choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and give it minus 10k, and then at the end of your turn you can bounce back 1 of your red or blue battle cards to your hand. And you can only play 1 of him a turn, I think. 4 copies of Son Goku Rival Seeker, because he goes into the 6-drop and this card is absurd. Also because it's a free 10k combo if you have a multicolor red-blue in your drop area. 2 copies of Friendly Rival Frieza. If your leader's red when you combo with this card, you Foolish Burial, or you send a red-blue extra, or you send a red extra card from your deck to your graveyard. So you get Catastrophic Blows out of your deck. Also, on a side note, if you wanted to play this in the red-green version in like the sideboard, or if you want to be spicy and do it all in the main board, the Dormant Legend and 6-drop Arrival Broly strategy. Usually, most of the cards say that like your leader has to be Broly. Like for like the good Goten, since if your leader's a red Broly, do this. You can play Frieza to get Dormant in your drop, so you can actually play the Broly package. So yeah, 2 copies of Catastrophic Blow. You deal damage to your opponent for 1 energy, which is absurd. Cooler Tyrannical Assault, Arrival for 1 red. 20k double striker. When he is played, your opponent mills a card, and then you can minus 10k to 2 of their opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier. Really good for comboing with like the leader effect, or Feminine Wiles, or just kind of nuking stuff. Like if your opponent has Poutine on the board, you can get rid of Poutine, which is really good. And then the next card is the Ultra Instinct Son Goku Energy Explosion, 6-drop from set 9. He's an Invoker. Auto, when you play this card, you choose 3 cards in your energy, put them in the drop, and then you pick them back up, put them in your energy, ignoring energy exhaust, and then auto once per turn, when you deal damage to your opponent, deal an extra damage. So the whole point of this deck is to get your opponent down to, ideally, 3 life, play the 6-drop, and then go Catastrophic Blow twice and win the game. So yeah. That is the 3 different versions of launch. I would definitely recommend testing. There's other like ways to build the deck. Robbie Reitz had a really cool red, blue, green version of the deck that he played at the Pro Play Tour webcam tournament. I'm not in love with that because there's a lot of 10Ks in the deck, but you can definitely make it work. There's going to be a lot of 10Ks in your launch deck almost regardless because of just the way the deck works with the arrival strategies. But definitely something I would recommend checking out. Other than that, let me know what decks you guys are enjoying a lot, because I think this format's really, really fun. I enjoy it a lot. And I want to know what you guys are playing, if you are able to play, because this pandemic is a thing. Other than that, have a great rest of your day, guys. See ya.